Hundreds of people protest against police brutality in Chile. General elections are underway in Ecuador. And thousands of Indian farmers continue their demonstrations against new agricultural laws. Hello and welcome to teleSUR. I'm Doris Polo in Quito, Ecuador, and this is From the South. Hundreds of people in Chile have protested in the town of Panguipulli in reaction to the fatal police shooting of a street artist. The incident took place after the juggler refused to cooperate with a police search by two uniformed men. The check resulted in a dispute that ended with one of the agents shooting at the performer. Angered by the killing, local people took to the streets to rally. They set fire to several buildings and erected barricades in streets around the town before riot police fired tear gas and water cannons. The government ordered the police force to hand over all records of the incident to the public ministry, which has launched an investigation.
And all of this is terrible for me and for all of us who are from Panguipulli, because we knew that young man and he never hurt anyone. He never did anything. He was a young man who worked, and never in his life did he like people giving him things. He worked and bought his food. Justice must be done, because something like this cannot go unpunished. It cannot. They always wash their hands because it was in self-defense. No, this cannot remain that way. It cannot. So look what happened now. Look at the consequence. This is because of anger, impotence, because they talk about things they don't know, and then they come back and change the whole story.
Over to Cuba. Health authorities have said that the country's pharmaceutical industry has the technological capacity to produce millions of monthly doses of its upcoming COVID-19 vaccines. The country is currently developing 4 vaccine candidates, 2 of which will move on to phase 3 with clinical trials in March. Eduardo Ojito, director of the Center for Molecular Immunology, stated that they can produce 100,000 daily doses, which translates to 12,000 per hour in each laboratory. Ojito added that once health authorities approve phase 3, production and distribution will begin.
Of these 4 candidates that are now in human trials, of the 4 candidates there are 3 fundamental elements, based on which, after the results in the preclinical studies in animals, we have decided to go undertake in parallel and use in human in clinical trials. But before referring to these 3 elements, I would like to explain what these 4 candidates have in common. These 4 candidates use the same type of antigen.
Now, Cuba has implemented a nightly curfew in Havana between 9 p.m. and 5 a.m. in an attempt to tackle a resurgence of COVID-19 cases. There will be a total restriction of movement for people and vehicles during curfew hours, with special permission required to enter and leave the city for other provinces. Authorities also reminded that fines of up to $80 remain in place for gatherings, not wearing face masks, and for parents who allow their children to stay out in public.
Beginning today, new and more restrictive measures are in place because there are new infections, and this must be avoided for ourselves, for the children, for the Cuban Republic, and for whole humanity.
Now they have to take these measures to avoid infection, because Boca de Jaruco is full of COVID-19 cases, Santa Cruz equally. The measures taken are very good, but the government should also take into account the problems we have.
In Uruguay, the National Trade Union Center recently celebrated the anniversary of the birth of Cuban national hero Jose Marti and marked the achievement of 100,000 eye operations as part of the Miracle Eye Surgery program. Our correspondent Mateo Grey has the details.
The event represented well-deserved recognition of Cuba by Uruguayan workers. The National Trade Union Center and the Bank Workers Union celebrated the anniversary of the birth of Cuban national hero Jose Marti, as well as 100,000 surgeries performed in Uruguay within the framework of Operation Miracle, an initiative created by Commander Fidel Castro and Hugo Chavez, offering free eye surgeries for people with limited resources.
We do not want to miss the opportunity to mark Marti's birthday on January 28th, and at the same time connect it with what it meant for the history of Cuba and Cuban independence, and link it to the current struggles and current gratitude.
In 2005, Uruguay formally joined Operation Miracle, and in 2007, the Jose Marti Eye Hospital was inaugurated. Several brigades of Cuban doctors have treated thousands of Uruguayans at the facility. In November 2020, the number of free operations performed reached 100,000.
We are infinitely grateful for the presence of the Cuban doctors here at the Jose Marti Hospital, generating a situation where it is demonstrated that they can organize to ensure that health is not a commodity, is not a source of profit for a few, but that they are above concepts such as profitability and other issues.
The Cuban workers also expressed their gratitude for the tributes. The coordinator of the Operation Miracle Brigade in Uruguay, Jose Hernandez, highlighted the benefit of working with Uruguayans.
In these 30 years, we have performed 100,000 surgeries. We have performed them as part of our duty as health professionals, and we have felt really proud, happy to be working during this stage of our life, to be exchanging with health professionals in Uruguay.
The event, organized by Uruguayan workers, not only served to commemorate the anniversary of the birth of Jose Marti and to celebrate the 100,000 surgeries offered under Operation Miracle, it was also announced that Uruguayan workers are joining the global campaign calling for Cuba's Henry Reeve International Medical Contingent to be awarded the 2021 Nobel Peace Prize.
Mateo Grille, teleSUR, Montevideo, Uruguay.
Uruguayan footballer Santiago Moro Garcia has been found dead in his apartment in the Argentine city of Mendoza. The 30-year-old Garcia was being treated for personal problems and depression, and authorities are now investigating whether his death was caused by suicide. Garcia signed for the Argentine club Godoy Cruz in 2016 and was the club's top scorer in the 2017-18 Argentine League season. However, he was not an active player in the current season due to his medical treatment. In other news, firefighters in Argentina continue to battle a blaze that broke out more than a week ago in a wooded area of the Rio Negro province. The inferno has destroyed more than 10,000 hectares of land near the tourist town of El Bolsón, located about 1,000 kilometers south of Buenos Aires, near Patagonia and close to the border with Chile. The fire is being fought by more than 150 brigade members of the local firefighter service and volunteers. However, the rocky area has some valleys, making it difficult to extinguish the blaze. The cause is yet to be established. We have more stories coming up. Don't go away.
teleSUR English presents a weekly program to discuss the political, economic and social issues affecting the Caribbean community. We'll challenge stereotypes and unpack the diversity of the region through the analysis of unique cultures, religions and art. We Caribbean. Wednesdays, only on teleSUR.
Welcome back. We return with news in Ecuador, where millions are heading to the polls today to vote in the country's general elections. Some 13 million citizens are eligible to pick a new president, with leftist economist Andrés Arauz and conservative Guillermo Lasso being the clear frontrunners among 16 candidates. Indigenous rights campaigner Yaku Perez is a distant third. If no candidate gets more than 50% of valid votes, a runoff will be held on April 11th. Ecuadorians are also choosing a new legislature in which Araú's allies are expected to make a strong showing. The election takes place as Latin America is battling a second wave of COVID-19, which has aggravated the country's economic troubles. Now, voting started at 7 a.m., but already citizens have faced a few hurdles, with one elderly man saying the entire queuing process was chaotic. According to him, some booths had long lines of people, while others were completely empty.
I've been waiting outside for about 45 minutes, and when I entered the building and I went to table 14 where I had to cast my vote, I realized that there was no queue. There was no one there, and meanwhile all these citizens are waiting outside. There's a long line for the elderly and another long one for the rest of the people. I think they should have organized this much better. We have the police, the Electoral Commission, and even the army here. They should know which table are free. If you look around, you can see that there are absolutely no people in the voting booths over there. So this whole thing is already turning into chaos. There are a lot of people who, because of the long lines, won't be able to cast their votes and might even face fines.
This
Benacausa school is an important polling station in the north of Quito. We have come here to see if there are any problems as a result of the pandemic. The problem we have seen is low turnout in some polling stations. This was expected. There are 414 polling places in the province of Pichincha, and this one is one of the biggest.
And now let's go to our correspondent. Okay, so unfortunately, we do not have our correspondent at the moment, so we will be speaking about what's going on in India. Thousands of farmers. Actually, we're going to Africa. Sudan's Water Resources Minister Yasser Abbas has warned Ethiopia against going ahead with the second phase of filling its mega dam on the Blue Nile, saying it would pose a direct threat to Sudanese national security. Abbas said if Ethiopia goes ahead with filling the Renaissance Dam, it will also threaten the lives of half the population in central Sudan, as well as water for agricultural projects. Sudan, Egypt, and Ethiopia have been locked in a dispute for nearly a decade over the filling and operation of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. Egypt and Sudan say the dam is a threat to their freshwater supply, while Ethiopia insists it is crucial for power generation to meet the country's electricity needs.
This is a direct threat to Sudanese national security. Sudan hopes to reach an agreement before the unilateral filling next July. That is why Sudan suggested, we are studying a proposal and have started to present it to others, to extend the participation of the African Union and include the African Union as a whole, include the United States as observers, which is already in place, and include as well the European Union and the United Nations, following Sudan's proposal. There is no bilateral communication between Sudan and Ethiopia, nor between Sudan and Egypt, while awaiting the African Union's report. But as I said, Sudan has been in contact with the African Union, with foreign ambassadors in Khartoum, and with other organizations such as the European Union and the United States.
On that note, I'd like to apologize to our viewers. We did have some technical difficulties, but now we have our correspondent Denise Herrera, who is at a polling station in Ecuador's capital, Quito. Hi, Denise. For the benefit of our viewers, when we spoke with you earlier, we saw socially distanced persons queued to cast their ballot. How has turnout been at your location thus far?
Hi, there is indeed. I am at one of the polling stations in Ecuador now, the Marista school north of the capital. As you can see behind me, there is here the polls are open. And today, Ecuadorian people will choose the new president, vice president, the members of the National Assembly, and the representatives to the Andean Parliament. As you can see, there is here in this poll station, the Marista school. People are voting here. As you can see, it is with normality activity. We can show you how this event continues in all Ecuador. And these elections, there is will be historic. We should remember that there is an unprecedented number of presidential pairs participating, 16, as well as you can see all Ecuadorian people have voted under the biosecurity measures because of the pandemic situation. As you can see here in this school, people are voting with normality. I'll also hear police officers and all the authorities and representatives of the National Electoral Council who have to supervise all the activity in the different police stations. Also, we have to remember that a total of 13 million Ecuadorians are eligible to vote in the country, and also the poll are open here. It opened at 7 a.m. until 5 p.m. So this is how Ecuadorian people are facing these election days. So we will updating the information as soon as we come back to you at the studios.
Denise Herrera at a polling station in Quito, Ecuador. As you can see, there were definitely people in lines trickling in to cast their ballot, but also socially distanced because this is indeed an election in a pandemic. We're taking one last break. Stay with us.
Innovation, science, the technological breakthrough, and its influence in society.
Viajeros del saber, el futuro está aquí.
Atomy. Monday, only on teleSUR. teleSUR English presents a weekly program to discuss the political, economic, and social issues affecting the Caribbean community. We'll challenge stereotypes and impact the diversity of the region through the analysis of unique cultures, religions, and art. We Caribbean. Wednesdays, only on teleSUR.
Welcome back. In Benin, an opposition presidential candidate for the forthcoming general elections has been wounded after gunmen opened fire on his vehicle soon after he filled in his nomination papers for the April 11th polls. Ganiu Soglo, a former minister and son of ex-president Nisifore Soglo, was ambushed on the way to his farm in Zinvie, 35 kilometers from the country's commercial capital, Cotonou. A family member said Soglo is being treated in a hospital in the capital and is out of danger, but will have to be flown to either Morocco or Ghana to remove a bullet stuck in his body. An investigation into the attack has been launched.
Il est revenu à la police républicaine.
It has come to the attention of the Republic Police that on Friday, February 5, 2021, Mr. Geno Seglo was on his way to his farm located in the village of Avape Kano district in the community of Abome Kalavi. The Lexus vehicle carrying him was reportedly shot simultaneously on both sides while he was driving around 8 p.m. in the bush on an isolated track located 3 kilometers from the asphalt road.
Les investigations se poursuivent.
Investigations are going on. All the hypotheses will be studied in order to elucidate this case and refer subsequent investigation procedure to the public prosecutor.
Libya's new interim Prime Minister Abdul Hamid Dibia has promised to be ready to listen to and work with all Libyans. Dibia, a 61-year-old engineer, was on Friday selected as the North African nation's interim Prime Minister by 75 delegates at UN-led talks in Switzerland, the culmination of a dialogue process launched in November.
I would like to congratulate all Libyans on achieving this important success by agreeing on a new political roadmap that will form a path to end the conflict and reach elections on a constitutional and democratic basis. My great Libyan people, today's victory goes beyond a standalone list's victory. It symbolizes national unity, the diaspora, the building of peace and achieving the desired democracy. I will be ready to listen to and work with all Libyans, whatever their ideology, affiliation or region, for the sake of the nation. And I think the nation deserves this cooperation from us all.
And Libyans speaking in the capital Tripoli say the formation of the transitional unity government serves as a ray of hope after nearly 10 years of conflict and chaos.
What happened yesterday gave us great hope that Libya will change for the better. As a Tripoli resident, I was very scared of the victory of Aquila Saleh's list, Speaker of the Eastern-based Parliament, because that would have been a disaster.
At first, the Libyans were not optimistic. They showed little interest for the UN process. But yesterday, the joy was palpable because we saw these initiatives for the emergency of a state.
In other news, dozens of people in Lebanon have gathered in Beirut to protest the killing of prominent publisher and critic of the militant Hezbollah group, Luqman Slim. Slim was found in his car in southern Lebanon on Thursday with multiple gunshot wounds. The longtime Shiite political activist and researcher went missing on Wednesday night after a trip south to visit friends. Perpetrators of political violence or corruption are almost never identified or prosecuted in Lebanon. With rising tension in the middle of political disputes and economic crisis, officials have warned of a return of violence and assassinations.
This is a political assassination of one of the most prominent public opinion figures in Lebanon, Luqman Slim. I will speak about the period afterward, and if there is an investigation, this investigation should on the basis of evidence say who killed Luqman Slim. Otherwise, it is known where Luqman Slim was killed, and it is known who threatened him. It is known whom he blamed. Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah and Parliament Speaker Navi Berri.
Thousands of Indian farmers have blockaded highways across the country for several hours to protest new agricultural laws. Demonstrators carried banners and flags and chanted slogans denouncing the laws, which they say will leave them poorer and at the mercy of corporations. Authorities deployed thousands of security forces, mainly outside the capital, where farmers have camped for more than 2 months. The farmers have said they won't leave until the government rolls back the laws. Several rounds of talks between farmers and the government have failed to produce any breakthroughs over the last 2 months.
We want to show the country that the farmers' brotherhood is still strong. We farmers all are together. I mean all of the countries together. Our flag is flying high. There are no mischievous elements amongst us. We will sit here for 2 or 3 hours peacefully, and our purpose is the repeal of the 3 agriculture laws.
Speaking of protests, around 1,000 people have taken to the streets of Myanmar's commercial capital in a show of resistance against the country's military coup last week. The crowd of workers, students and activists marched through Yangshan in support of ousted leader Aung San Suu Kyi before being blocked by hundreds of riot police. The march came 1 day after authorities set a ban on social media, shutting access to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook and other related apps. The military seized power shortly before a new session of parliament was to convene on Monday and detained Suu Kyi and other top politicians. The military accused Suu Kyi and her party of failing to act on its complaints that the election was fraudulent. However, the Election Commission said it had not found evidence to support the claims. Over to France, an elderly woman has been killed while her partner was seriously injured during an explosion in a garage in the city of Bordeaux. Initial investigations suggest gas was the cause of the blast, which destroyed the small building and seriously damaged 2 others nearby. The 88-year-old woman had initially been listed as missing after the blast occurred around 8 a.m. local time, but her body was later found under the rubble. Meanwhile, her partner, an 89-year-old man, is fighting for his life in a local hospital. So far, 9 other people have been identified with minor injuries following the explosion.
It's a house that has collapsed. You have the roof with the framework that has fallen on the first floor. The first floor has come down to the ground floor. The walls have collapsed with walls that are made of ashlar. The 2 adjacent addresses were partly affected by the initial explosion with damage which is significant, especially on the second line of buildings on Rue Bory.
The Greek government has announced a new curfew in the Attica region as well as 2 other regions. The curfew begins at 4 p.m. and will run until 3 a.m. and will remain in place every weekend until at least February 15th. The country of 11 million people is currently vaccinating those 80-year-olds and over, as well as healthcare workers. Authorities said on Saturday over 1,000 new virus cases and 29 new deaths have been reported in 24 hours. Greece's total number of confirmed coronavirus cases is now over 163,000, with nearly 6,000 dead. And on that note, we've come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For TeleSUR English, I am Doris Polo. Thank you so much for watching.